there's also the theme of an abusive marriage. There's also, you said two, right?
No, but go on.
There's temptation. Is another big theme that runs in the book. There's also the thing about Christian dating and Christian marriage, and lots.
When do we, in as much as we pray and then we fast, we seek, answers from God? When do we get to that comfortable point when we say, I have received from God that I can do this? Because we find in Rachel, who prayed, he sang, he fasted, he did all that. He even sought the face of God and then waited for answers. But then, rather than have answers, we were confused. And she also, at the point, got confused. Confused in the sense that we see a Rachel whose mind is made on educate.
Mind?
Yes, She loves educate. Now, but in between all of that, with everything that she's going through, there are times when the husband will do some certain things, and she will say, "Man, I wish this can continue." Today he even did well. Okay.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? And then there is comparison.
Yeah, there's a lot of comparison going on between the man she married and one that she fancied.
So which also brings to mind, when is that point when God answers our prayers? That's one. Secondly, does proximity help to destroy a relationship? Let me put it in another way, so for better understanding. Both of us get married, and maybe you like Bio, I'm just giving an example, or I like Lola. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when we live close to each other. Does proximity help to destroy a relationship in that context? Because if, for example, AJK was not near Rachel in the first place, do you think that marriage with Doug could have worked out? Do you understand where I'm going now?
I think we've given quite a bit of spoilers with this narrative, but I think Rachel longed for AJK even when he was away, and AJK longed for her even when she was not nearby. I don't think there was a proximity issue, but I think their relationship, being brother-in-law, made it easier for them to keep connections with each other in a way that if, let's say, it was just a friend or a distant friend and you don't have much interaction, that such could have fizzled out. But because of their family link, they could have a disguised communication, so it looks normal, but something else is going on underneath. So there's that. In terms of whether or not Rachel's marriage would have worked if AJK was not in the picture, I think she might have endured her marriage for longer. And
then there would have been less comparisons.
Not necessarily. There might have been somebody else who came in. If it's not AJK, someone else might have come in.
DJ.
Yes, because she has this emotional need that was not being fulfilled, this longing. So any guy around becomes a potential fantasy because she's not getting it from her house. So even if it wasn't AJK, it's quite likely that she might have had that emotional relationship with somebody else. But even if she never had an emotional relationship with somebody else, was her marriage with Doug likely to last? Was it likely to change and become good? There's so many other things at play there. When we look at Doug's character, his dishonesty, his irresponsibility, some of those things that she was managing. But yeah, so would that have turned around? It's possible.
Maybe.
That was what the book was like going on. Like she wanted to be long suffering. She wanted to do till death do us part. But some of the things that was going on made her sit upright and like.
Let me ask the first part of the question you didn't answer though, but fine. Okay. When people find themselves in an abusive relationship, how can we use your book to start to remedy, to help, to remedy such? How? Especially when there are no options.
When there are no options.
Like we see with Rachel, who has an AGK as an option, especially when there are no options.
Okay. Well, I'm not. The book wasn't written in the way that this is a solution. It's purely fictional story that is getting people to think outside the box, to see things in a different way. It's not to say, okay, this is the way out or anything. We're just exploring those themes in the book. I have a book that I launched with a Naive Wife called The Marriage ABCs. And if anyone is in a marriage, anyone that's married, it will help with the marriage issues. And if there's abuse in your marriage, there's also some advice. But ultimately, if you have in an abusive marriage, you need to be seeing a counselor. You need to be getting professional help with that. So, like, I don't want anyone, because there's certain things that happen in the book, and someone might say, if I'm saying, okay, this is the way to get out of your marriage, by marrying somebody else's husband, it was just a story to illustrate certain challenges that can arise in a marriage and certain positions that women are placed in. But how will the book help? In Rachel's hope, we see that no matter, even if we made a mistake, God is with us. Correct. Yeah. God is with us.
True.
So whatever it is that we have done, however bad our situation is, it is not hopeless.
It's not.
As long as God is there, and and sometimes, like, I think one of the things that I think I intentionally tried to stretch was a look at the this "to death do us part"
marriage
teaching.
narrative.
Yes, in marriage, and look at in terms of an abusive situation, because I've been the one saying, gotta love like Christ, like Rachel's teaching in her books, and that means even when they're not worthy, you still love them, you still forgive, and how many times are you supposed to forgive? Do you understand? So when Rachel's passing across these teachings and she's trying to live with it as well, then there's also the perspective of what if you now meet somebody who takes advantage of that, who sees that you are someone who is going to, just be long suffering and all that. And I want to just bring in, like, with Christ, like, he died for all of us, however bad we were. But maybe, I don't know if it's allowed to say it on air, but at the end of the day, Christian belief is that some people are still going to go to hell, even though he died for all of us and he tried to save all of us.
So it's a matter of choice.
Yes. And so it's not going to end happily ever after for all of us. There's some people who, no matter how much you put into them, they're still going to reject you. They're going to reject your love. They're going to return your love for hate.
All right, quickly, I wanted us to touch on, maybe when we come back, I wanted us to touch on mental state of some people. Because we see in Dog, while I was reading about Dog, in my head, was trying to fix where he belonged and what kind of health support that he will need. Is it a psychologist he will need? Is it a shrink that he needs to see? Because there are people like that. But they must get to a point where something must break, and then they can start to. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because
is narcissism something that
do you understand?
Is there a cure for narcissism? I don't
know.
There's treatment for such mental disorders, but I don't think there's a cure for mental illness of that magnitude. But there's certainly treatment to make life more bearable and to protect other people that could be affected.
All right, let's take a song. I'm thinking we could do Stomp. That's Kirk Franklin. God's property.
Sure, you picking.
Something.
But if you ask me, I want Shania Twain.
Shania Twain. Okay. I want us to dance the Stomp, but then we'll do Shania Twain.
No,
let's do Shania Twain.
But Shania's for the end now.
Oh, so we'll do that. We'll do that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and take and do Stomp. We'll soon end of the show. But when we come back, we're coming back to Hyacinth.
Okay.
We'll take a 5 minutes out, 7 or whatever.
All right.
And then we'll be looking at startup to fortune. This is 5-phase value thinker business building model. It's written by Hyacinth Aneke. Let's do God's Property featuring Kirk Franklin. And it is Stop. Guess the song that's killed after that. Stevie Wonder. It's in your book.
Yes.
All right, stay with us.
Those of you that think that gospel music has gone too far, you think we've gotten too radical with our message. Well, I got news.
Lola, how are you going?
You ain't heard nothing yet. And if you don't know, now you know.
Oh yeah, Baya, come and snap us.